The water erupts in an instant, and the crocodile takes control of the encounter. At the very edge of the swamp, the last margin of safety can vanish in a single surge. No movement is wasted. Only the cold precision of a top predator in the natural order remains. Very little can slip away from this hunter once the moment is set. The crocodile is one of the oldest predators still surviving today, with a semi-aquatic body refined for ambush hunting along the water's edge. Its powerful jaws, heavy armor, and near-perfect concealment help it maintain an advantage in swamps, rivers, and warm waterways. As both an apex predator and an opportunistic scavenger, the crocodile plays a role in preserving the balance of freshwater ecosystems. Its strength and exceptional energy efficiency have helped it hold its place in some of the wildest waters on Earth. The lion stands as a symbol of strength on the savanna, with a solid build and the ability to accelerate to around 35 miles per hour over short distances. On land, very few rivals cause hesitation. But as it approaches the edge of a river or lake, the balance begins to shift. At the boundary between land and water, the crocodile often holds the clearer advantage. Beneath the calm surface, a crocodile can remain still for long periods, leaving almost no visible sign. When an adult lion steps into shallow water or crosses a narrow stretch, the margin of safety can shrink rapidly. Even so, a fully grown individual remains a high-risk target, as it is fast, alert, and capable of a strong response if it overcomes the initial surprise. The risk is often greater for younger lions or those moving near the water's edge in a loose formation. A brief hesitation or a moment of separation from the group can create an opening for a sudden surge from close range. With a bite force of around 3,700 pounds per square inch, the crocodile makes full use of timing and terrain, quickly drawing the encounter into deeper water before the pride can respond in unison. At the boundary between land and water, the advantage usually belongs to the one that understands its domain more deeply than its rival. Each year, more than 1 million wildebeest join the vast migration across East Africa, traveling over 1,000 miles in search of fresh grass and new water sources. Across the open plains, it becomes a moving wave of life, with the pounding of hooves echoing like a distant tremor. But when the herd reaches silt-filled rivers, that familiar rhythm is suddenly brought to a halt. At the water's edge, speed is no longer the greatest advantage. An adult wildebeest weighs around 600 pounds, yet that very mass becomes a challenge against currents, submerged rocks, and pressure from the herd behind. As hundreds surge into the river at once, formation quickly breaks down. A single misaligned stroke can create an opening for an ambush. That is when the Nile crocodile moves into action. A large individual, weighing over 1,200 pounds, may have remained motionless for weeks or even longer, conserving energy for the decisive moment. It does not rely on long pursuits, only on precise positioning and a short burst of speed. In fast, murky water, a powerful jaw and a strong tail allow it to close the distance with efficiency. As the herd continues pushing toward the far bank, the river settles once again. Even those that do not make the crossing do not disappear without purpose. In the Mara, this organic input can contribute up to about 50% of the diet for common fish species, continuing to support many other links within the river system. African wild dogs rank among nature's top strategists, with a hunting success rate reaching around 80% under favorable conditions. Weighing about 50 pounds on average, they rely on large ears for heat regulation and a refined communication system to maintain formation during chases that can stretch for miles. But when prey is pushed to the water's edge, the line between hunter and hunted becomes extremely thin. Beneath the muddy surface, the Nile crocodile waits with patience. At roughly 14 feet in length, it turns stillness into a powerful advantage. If one wild dog drifts out of formation or slows even slightly while closing in, an opening can emerge for a sudden strike at very close range. In that instant, the pack's coordinated rhythm can be disrupted. Even during a brief pause to drink, a single misstep into soft mud can trigger an ambush response. The surface erupts, and the pace of the encounter rises sharply within seconds. Yet instead of scattering, other members quickly form a defensive front to protect the vulnerable. At the boundary between mud and solid ground, true strength lies not only in force, but in loyalty and the cohesion of the pack. Along the riverbanks of the African plains, the line between safety and risk can be separated by just a few feet. Spotted hyenas often move in groups of several dozen, carrying the advantage of coordination, quick reflexes, and a bite force exceeding 1,000 pounds per square inch. On land, they are highly effective opportunists. But when heat drives the group towards the water's edge to drink or compete for food drifting near the bank, that advantage begins to shift. This is also where the crocodile takes on the role of a patient rival. It reveals very little movement, waiting for the moment when the crowd becomes unsettled and the safe distance narrows. As a result, adult hyenas rarely move too deeply into the danger zone. In these tense standoffs, the advantage often belongs to the one that can remain steady for longer. For the cheetah, the challenge is even greater. On open ground, it can reach speeds of up to 70 miles per hour. But near the water's edge, that advantage nearly disappears. A single mistimed moment while lowering its head to drink places it within the domain of an ancient ambush specialist. Here, the chance of moving away safely often belongs to the one that recognizes the danger just a moment sooner. The African buffalo stands as one of the defining symbols of strength on the savanna. With thick, curved horns and a solid body weighing around 2,000 pounds, it carries enough force to make many predators hesitate on firm ground. But no advantage remains constant across every terrain, especially where dry land gives way to murky water. Beneath the surface, the crocodile seeks to draw the encounter into deeper water, where current and resistance begin to favor it. Against a full-grown buffalo, the balance is difficult to break. Its mass and stable footing allow it to hold position and keep the encounter in shallow water, where it can maintain control. When forced out of the water, the crocodile reveals its limitations and often reduces pressure to preserve a path of retreat. With a young buffalo, however, the situation becomes far more fragile. A lighter body and limited experience mean that any moment of separation from the group can turn into a clear vulnerability. Along Africa's riverbanks, the deciding factor is not absolute strength, but the ability to maintain formation right at the water's edge. Leaving the African plains behind, Brazil's Pantanal reveals a world of flooded landscapes, mud, and densely lined riverbanks. This is a region where the Pantanal caiman holds control for much of the time. At around 8 feet in length and close to 120 pounds, it blends almost seamlessly into the water, exposing only its eyes and snout while waiting for any small movement along the edge. Yet in the Pantanal, another rival is bold enough to enter that boundary: the jaguar. Weighing around 200 pounds, this large cat is a strong swimmer and treats the water's edge as a natural extension of its hunting ground. The encounter becomes more than a pursuit. It is a test of control. With a rapid surge from the riverbank, the jaguar breaks the surface and targets a vulnerable point with the most powerful bite among big cats. For that reason, this moment is not simply a hunt. It is a contest for dominance at the boundary between land and water, where the caiman reveals a constant rule of nature. No territory remains absolute when another rival understands that same edge just as well. A single movement across the ice is enough to signal that the hunt has begun. The polar bear advances with weight, endurance, and the authority of the Arctic's dominant force. Each close approach shifts the balance, while other hunters are forced to hold back. Across the vast white expanse, it does not simply pursue, It controls the entire rhythm of the chase. Against such power, what creature can truly stand its ground? Across the wind-swept tundra, caribou move like shadows of speed, sustaining remarkable bursts of up to 50 miles per hour. During migrations that stretch for thousands of miles, endurance serves as their primary defense. But as summer arrives, a new survival dynamic takes shape. These animals must face the ruler of the frozen domain in an uneven contest across muddy terrain. The polar bear does not pursue blindly. It remains concealed, patiently observing until a gap forms within the herd. The chosen target is an individual weighing close to 1,200 pounds. Once the distance closes, the bear releases a surge of momentum, directing the animal toward shallow water to limit its escape routes. When massive paws make contact, the rapid rhythm of the tundra suddenly falls still. In another moment, instinct becomes even more efficient when a smaller, isolated individual is encountered. The interaction unfolds quickly, where overwhelming strength leaves little room for resistance. The reward for this adaptation is a valuable source of energy, allowing the bear to build thick reserves of fat before the harsh winter returns. Across the vast white expanse of sea ice, large seal populations thrive, most notably the bearded seal and the ringed seal. Numbering in the millions, they form the living pulse of this ecosystem and the primary focus of the polar bear. Among them, the ringed seal stands out as a prime target, a biological energy reserve of about 130 pounds, storing the essential fuel needed for life in the frozen ocean. Hunting here becomes an art of patience and concealment. The bear moves with extreme slowness, minimizing all sound, then waits for hours beside narrow breathing holes. An exceptional sense of smell allows it to detect prey hidden beneath snow layers more than 3 feet thick. The slightest vibration through the ice is enough to trigger a decisive opening strike. With a success rate of only around 15%, each opportunity carries the weight of a calculated risk against the cold. In another strategy, the bear uses its strong swimming ability to approach individuals resting on the ice. It remains submerged beneath the freezing water, then surfaces suddenly at close range to gain an advantage. That element of surprise can shift the outcome within seconds. In a world of constant ice, patience and strategy remain the only keys to survival. The polar bear is the largest land-dwelling carnivore, with massive males equipped with insulating fur and thick layers of fat that allow them to endure freezing Arctic winds. With broad paws that function like snowshoes, distributing their weight across the ice, they can swim long distances through vast stretches of open water in search of food. In the harsh world of the Arctic, every step they take stands as a clear expression of nature's extraordinary power of adaptation. Survival in the Arctic is, at its core, a harsh equation of energy. This time, the polar bear sets its focus on a formidable opponent, the walrus. These giants, weighing over 1,500 pounds, dominate coastal zones with a powerful natural defense system. A hide nearly 4 inches thick, combined with tusks reaching up to 3 feet, forms a barrier strong enough to deter most intruders. For the polar bear, a direct confrontation is rarely the favorable option, as a single misstep can quickly shift the balance. Instead of rushing in, it applies pressure through timing and positioning before relying on strength. At the right moment, the predator initiates a sudden, forceful approach. A short, heavy surge that sends a ripple of tension across the rocky shoreline. The unexpected movement causes the walrus group to rush toward the water. Within that brief moment of disruption, a true opportunity appears. The focus is not on the center of the group, but along the edges, where younger individuals, slower to react, can become separated from the protection of the herd. If the calculation is precise, the reward can reach nearly 100,000 calories, enough to help sustain the bear's critical fat reserves through lean seasons. If not, a poorly timed decision near those powerful tusks may affect its future ability to hunt. Across the vast Arctic, adaptability in strategy remains the one constant that keeps survival in motion. During the bright summer months, the Arctic Sea breaks into scattered patches of open water. These fragile breathing holes become natural arenas within the ocean. Here, groups of beluga whale weighing around 1,400 pounds gather closely, waiting for the rhythm of the tide to surface for air and carry out their seasonal molting cycle. On the ice above, the polar bear remains concealed like a silent strategist. Positioned downwind, it focuses its power through its massive shoulders. Even with a layer of fat nearly 5 inches thick protecting the beluga beneath the cold water, they cannot remain submerged forever. The moment the surface shifts, a surge of force, measured in thousands of pounds, is released. With sheer strength, the predator pulls its target onto the slick edge of the ice, bringing a long wait to its conclusion. In other moments, tidal shifts of up to 6 feet can disrupt the attempt, turning effort into uncertainty. Yet each failed attempt sharpens instinct. Every period of waiting refines the bear's ability to read the movement of the ocean with greater precision. In the polar world, rewards do not favor impatience. Cold patience remains the true key to success across the vast Arctic Sea. In the world of the polar bear, a single seal represents a major reward, but summer on land becomes a stretch of modest returns. With claws nearly 2 inches long, built to handle large prey, the bear now relies on them as its only grip while navigating steep cliffs rising over 100 feet, where thousands of seabirds gather in constant motion. Here, a harsh survival calculation takes shape. Each bird egg provides only about 150 calories, far less than the rich energy stored in a seal. To match the value of a single seal meal, the white predator must carefully collect more than 600 eggs along narrow ledges, conserving every small unit of energy with precision. At this stage, survival is no longer measured by dramatic hunts, but by patience across exposed slopes. It becomes a quiet strategy to delay hunger, allowing the bear to endure until the ice returns. In Alaska, where the edge of sea ice meets the domain of pack strategy and endurance, polar bears and gray wolf rarely engage in direct confrontation. They maintain a calculated distance, far enough to avoid major risk, yet close enough to apply constant pressure. When encounters occur, wolves tend to move along the outer perimeter, forcing the bear to stay alert and expend energy. In response, the polar bear lowers its center of gravity, turning toward the direction of pressure while minimizing exposure. Here, survival does not belong to the first move, but to the one that knows when the cost outweighs the reward. At the far edge of the planet, the Arctic offers no space for weakness. When food becomes scarce, the dominant force of the region, a male polar bear weighing over 1,500 pounds, faces a harsh decision, turning toward its own kind to survive. As wide 12-inch paws begin to accelerate across the snow, the encounter quickly intensifies. Two massive figures rise onto their hind legs, displaying raw strength while circling under mounting pressure to secure a strategic position. Low, resonant warning sounds echo across the frozen landscape, signaling a confrontation with no easy outcome. When neither side yields, they move into direct physical contact, using their immense weight, measured in thousands of pounds, to push and control space across the slick ice. The less dominant individual is often forced to withdraw, preserving its life but losing access to territory and future opportunities. This threat extends directly to the young. For a mother bear, protecting her cubs becomes the most demanding challenge she will face. Even at around 600 pounds, she is prepared to confront danger head-on, using every ounce of momentum to hold her ground. A single misstep, a shift in balance, and the natural order is tested by instinct at its most primal. This is nature operating with precision. No room for hesitation, only the calculated drive of survival that keeps life moving forward. After the encounter, the crocodile once again affirms its position. The difference lies not only in bite force, but in the ability to choose the exact moment. That level of adaptation keeps it among the top predators. If you want to see more survival moments like this, tap like and subscribe. Beneath the dark water, the rhythm of competition continues.